What if I told you that some students aren't ordinary? Yes, they do actually have two heads, and that's why they perform better than you in class. But the secret behind it will leave you in shock. Once upon a time, at Hilltop College, Abuja, there lived a girl called Daniela Thomas. She was a typical example of brilliance and perfection, the kind of girl who made teachers smile and classmates feel both inspired and slightly irritated. That girl's brain is not from this planet, people would often say. At just 15, Daniela had become a legend in SS2 class. She always came first in everything she did. It didn't matter if it was a test, a debate, a quiz competition, a spelling bee, or even the school's music challenge. She always won. Some students whispered that she had a chip in her head. Others joked that her grandmother was a witch who passed something down to her. But none of them could prove anything. All they knew was that Daniela never failed. It was a hot Tuesday morning, and the entire school gathered in the main hall for the most feared exam of the term, the General Knowledge Championship. It wasn't just any test. This one could change your life forever. The winner gets a national scholarship and a front-page interview with a top education magazine. Daniela sat in the middle row that day, as calm as ever. Her uniform was slightly ironed and her hair was braided and packed up in a single bun. The question papers were shared and everywhere went silent. "Begin," the teacher announced. While others were flipping through the first page, Daniela's pen was already moving fast. Her eyes scanned the paper like she had seen it before. 10 minutes in, she stood up and walked to the front desk. "Finished?" the invigilator asked, confused. "Yes, ma," Daniela said politely, handing in her paper. As she walked back to her seat, the whole hall watched in silent shock. Some were amazed, others were just annoyed. She sat down gently, then pulled a handkerchief from her pocket and wiped the left side of her neck slowly. Her hand lingered there for a moment, almost like something was warm, but nobody noticed or thought too much about it. However, 20 minutes before the exam began, Daniela wasn't in the classroom. She wasn't in the library either. She was somewhere no one ever went, the old janitor's closet behind the senior block. She looked around to be sure that no one was watching. Then she opened the dusty door and slipped inside. It was dark and smelled like old wood and expired cleaning chemicals, but she didn't mind. She had been there too many times to care. She stood still and whispered, "Are you ready?" At first, there was silence. Then a soft voice replied, "Give me your hands." Daniela shut her eyes and raised her left hand to her shoulder. Then it happened. From the empty air, a second head slowly formed, resting on her left shoulder. It was invisible to human eyes, as only she could see it. The head was a male about her age. He was handsome in a very strange way. He had calm eyes, neat afro hair, and a little smirk like he always knew more than everyone else. His name was Salem. "Well done," Salem said. "You did amazing today." "All thanks to you," Daniela replied with a soft smile. "The next paper is in 3 hours, and I would like to help you prepare for it." "Sit down, let's start," Salem said. Daniela sat down and quickly brought out a pen and paper. Then Salem began to share all the questions and answers that would be on Daniela's next paper. Question 1 is, who wrote Things Fall Apart? The answer is Chinua Achebe. They will try to confuse you with Wole Soyinka. Don't fall for it. He kept going, dropping hints and clues until the paper was full. Daniela listened carefully, absorbing every word. She wasn't just cramming, she was downloading data straight into her soul. 5 minutes later, she stepped out of the closet looking too confident. On her way to the exam hall, she passed a group of noisy students panicking over last-minute revision. Daniela didn't glance at them. There was no need to. She just walked away smiling confidently. And Salem was always right. When she got into the exam hall that day, the questions were exactly what he had told her. But what nobody knew was that Daniela didn't meet Salem by accident. He came after something terrible happened. when she was still very young, and ever since that day, he had never left her side. Despite her fame and academic achievements, Daniela struggled. She was always lonely and worried. Her life was filled with puzzles she couldn't solve. Every night, she would sit in her bunk thinking, who really is Salem? And what would happen if he left me? Naturally, Daniela wasn't a bright student. Before she met Salem, she was always last in everything, not just academics. But ever since she came into her life changed in ways she couldn't explain. But her biggest fear was losing him. Daniela was respected and admired by many, but no one really knew her, not even Precious, her bunkmate. There was something strange about her that people couldn't pinpoint, but every night, something strange was beginning to happen. Daniela would talk softly in her sleep, whispering and murmuring. At first, Precious ignored it, but now it was becoming too frequent. One night, Precious sat up and listened carefully to everything Daniela was saying. No, not that answer. Give me another one. Yes, that one is better, Daniela said in her sleep. It didn't sound like a dream. It sounded like a conversation. Precious was suspicious at first, but later waved the thought. Maybe she's just sleep-talking, Precious convinced herself. On the other side of the picture was Lisa, a tall, beautiful girl who was smart but not as brilliant as Daniela, and the difference made her jealous and bitter. Before Daniela came into the school, Lisa topped the class in everything she did. But unlike Daniela, Lisa was hated by many because of her pride and arrogance. She bullied and insulted others at the slightest opportunity, and Daniela's presence in the school only made her worse. Seeing that she couldn't bully Daniela, she started plotting her downfall secretly. Lisa's father was a top government official, so she had the finance and resources to get whatever she wanted. A day before the most anticipated quiz competition, Lisa paid the official in charge the sum of 5 million naira to not only give her the questions before the exam, but to also frame Daniela. Seeing the huge amount of money, Mr. Luke, the official who was in charge of the quiz competition, put aside his pride and dignity and accepted the money. The night before the exam, after giving Lisa a copy of the question, he snuck into the female hostel and placed the question paper under Daniela's pillow. It was the perfect time because all the students had gone for night prep. Then, he walked outside slowly and raised an alarm. Someone has stolen a copy of the question. I counted 50 copies, but now it's 49. His voice caught the attention of all the teachers and students on site. Suddenly, Lisa appeared from nowhere and suggested that they search the entire female hostel. Yes, let's do it. The criminal must be caught, Mr. Luke said angrily. The matter was later reported to the headmistress, and all the students were asked to stay outside. Mr. Luke and the headmistress headed straight to the hostel and started searching. Without wasting time, Mr. Luke went straight to Daniela's bunk and raised her pillow. But to his greatest shock, the paper he left there had disappeared. He stood there frozen in shock. How did this happen? But no one saw me coming in here. Kai, I'm in big trouble. He was still contemplating his next move when the headmistress' voice rang out. I have found the culprit, she said, raising the paper high. Who is it, ma? Mr. Luke stammered. I found the paper under Lisa's pillow, and she must be punished for it. Mr. Luke stood there, his sweat dripping from his face. Jesus Christ, I'm finished. Lisa was later suspended for 2 weeks, and Mr. Luke was dismissed for helping her and failing to set a positive example. But this was only the beginning. No one knew that Salem had secretly removed the paper and placed it under Lisa's pillow. Daniela continued to rise, winning several competitions and scholarships until things started falling apart. Daniela always thought she understood Salem. He had his moods, yes, but he was always there to help her. Suddenly, he stopped being there. It started with small things. Salem began speaking faster like he was in a hurry. He no longer repeated himself. If she missed what he said, he would snap angrily. You are not listening, Daniela. You never listen properly anymore. Sometimes, when she asked him for help, he would go quiet. then suddenly offered the answer with a strange mocking smile. Slowly, he started making Daniela act crazy. She started doing things that she would normally not do.